Hello, everyone. Jason Hagholm here, ready for another edition of Jason and the Gentleman. And as always, to join me to help break down all the happenings in mixed martial arts, I need the gentleman of mixed martial arts to do that. The gentleman, Josh Hill. Josh, how are you doing, man? I mean, I think we said last week, it was your daughter's third birthday. You got to cherish them now before they get older.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we had a birthday Saturday. Trolls party. Was bashing at the house, but yeah, it was good, man. It was fun. Can't believe she's 3 already. Crazy, but it was a good time.
Time moves very quickly, and you gotta, as Billy Madison said, you gotta cherish it. You gotta cherish it right now,
as long as you can.
As long as you can, you gotta cherish it. Well, I mean, happy birthday to your daughter. Crazy that she's 3. She's now hitting that interesting stage where, like, she kind of understands things, and before you know it, like, 2 years should be 5, Josh.
I know. She's gonna go to school not this September, the next one in JK, which is crazy.
I know.
But yeah, it's she gets everything now. Last year, 2, it's still kind of like, whatever. She doesn't really know, but now she's fully aware, and she's a smart cookie, so she catches on quick. But yeah, she was happy with the Trolls party. All her family was there.
Well, that's good. And as long as she liked the Trolls and doesn't turn out to be the internet troll later on in life, that would be the better option of that. But yeah, Josh, I mean, we had ourselves a busy weekend of mixed martial arts with arguably the biggest card of 2021, UFC 264, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier 3, the main event. And well, sometimes the third film isn't as good as the first 2 and lets down. And in a way, I think this fight definitely did, especially with the ending with Conor breaking his ankle and pretty graphically as well. But all in all, like, I know people may want a 4th fight, and I know Conor for sure wants a 4th fight, but I think what Poirier did in that fight, I don't think I need to see a 4th fight.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't need to see a 4th one. Of course, Dana and the UFC want the 4th one because, it's McGregor and they got to utilize. I mean, he's their biggest star, right? So coming from a business standpoint and a promotion standpoint, I understand why you're trying to continue that, right? Even though he has not been nearly as successful in the last few outings than he has, previous years, but he's still facing top-notch competition. But yeah, dude, I don't need to see a 4th. I think we've seen enough there. Yeah, you're right. Like the trilogy, sometimes, very rarely in movies does the 3rd one, be the best. It's kind of like Godfather 3 right now. But from what I seen, man, like, I think Poirier was just getting the better of him anyway. I mean, Conor had a couple decent shots that he landed, but even on the feet, like, Poirier cracked him, and it was actually Conor that engaged the clinch, which is funny because he said, he'll be first to shoot, but when you get cracked, sometimes he's close to you, that sense is just kind of like, oh shit, and then, going for a guillotine, jumping guillotine, again, coming from a guy that said submissions don't count. And I know this is all, he just talks shit just to hype up fights, and he does it great. So I understand it. And once you get in there, you'll take anything you can get. And then on the ground, man, he took a shit kicking. You know what I mean? That was a pretty, those some heavy blows landed on him there. And we all know Conor, his best rounds are probably the 1st and 2nd round. He tends to more so fade as the fight goes on, we've seen. So man, yeah, I'm happy for Poirier. I'm glad he got the win. It was kind of weird how it ended, obviously, not how everybody wanted, but he looked great.
He looked fantastic. I think, as you said, McGregor is a 1st round guy and has been pretty much throughout his career. And I just thought he looked slow. He looked a little lethargic. He was throwing some decent kicks, but one of those kicks ended up getting checked by, I guess Dustin clipped it with the elbow, and that kind of led to the early stages of his tibula and fibula breaking before he broke it when stepping back after, getting rocked. But man, like, Conor just didn't look the same, like, all week, even with his trash talk. Like, it just felt like he was trying to put it on to hype himself up, and he just didn't look the same. And this is a guy that's, will sell pay-per-view after pay-per-view regardless of how much his skills diminish. But that era of Conor is definitely gone.
Well, I think the biggest reason why it was kind of hard to see that is because the last fight and how he was a 180 different person. You know what I mean? It was respectful, kind, very sportsmanlike, professional. And so we got to see that. We got to see the real Conor. You know what I mean? And then to go back to that gimmick right after with the same guy, mind you, it just didn't feel real. Didn't feel natural. So I think that's probably why people saw it just kind of like it was really pushed. It was like kind of bad acting, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, you can't put that kind of on. It's like in wrestling when they take a beloved babyface and they turn him heel to try something different, and the guy doesn't buy into the character. It was like Conor knew the character, but he just couldn't get his footing right or anything with it. I don't know. It just felt so fake, and you don't want to, dissell the hard fan like that. I mean, Conor's going to have his supporters and whatnot, but it just he didn't have the right vibes, I think, going into it, and then his performance wasn't there. But I mean, for Poirier, he looked fantastic, and even though the fight went one round, did you think two judges gave Dustin a 10-8 round, Josh? And honestly, I totally agree with that. Like the damage that Dustin was laying, especially moments before the round ended, I thought Herb Dean could have stopped the fight because those elbows were vicious. Conor really wasn't defending himself. And there was another set of ground and pound like that. Plus, I mean, he did help break the ankle on a check kick.
Yeah. No, man, 10-8 rounds are so hard to we talked about it many times. Like you don't really know exactly what indicates a 10-8 round anymore. Usually it's knockdowns for the most part, but or just like absolute domination for a total round. So I think that was on the borderline for me, being a 10-8. I could see people saying that. I could see the other way being a 10-9. It definitely was a Poirier round though, regardless.
Oh yeah.
And then as far as the checking kicks and blocking kicks, man, that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. You know what I mean? And it's weird. I mean, you're more so likely to break your ankle or your leg on a check kick to the leg as like a chopping down on it rather than the body kick up the middle on the elbow. But I mean, hey, anything can happen, and maybe he had a mild fracture going into the fight from training camp. We don't know, right? So who knows? And maybe he didn't even know he had that either.
That's what his coach John Kavanagh said. They had a little bit of an ankle injury and a minor fracture going in camp, and then I guess hitting the elbow of Poirier, I guess, did more chiseling of it, and then obviously falling back with all your body weight, it's just going to snap the bone. I mean, it was a clean break, which I think is good for Conor because clean breaks are the best. And as well, Conor has this. The doctor had to stop the fight to hang over his head, so it wasn't like he got finished or submitted, even though he said submissions don't count. But he still has that, I guess, in a way to dangle over his head, and that's why I think they could give the fourth fight. I mean, Conor's out at least 6 months for sure. The rest of this year, definitely going to the summer, maybe of next year. But I don't know. I don't definitely need to see it, especially now that Poirier is going to fight for the title. And if Poirier beats Oliveira, there's no way you could just be like, oh yeah, you get a title shot after how bad Conor has looked.
They would still try to do it though, I think, you know what I mean? But which makes zero sense for sure. But yeah, with him saying, doctor stoppage, that's just a pride thing. You know what I mean? You want it to be like, it was the fight was finished out of your hands. Like it wasn't your fault that was done. But I mean, yeah, it essentially, I guess it was a finish because, you threw something at your opponent. He blocked it and broke your ankle. And it sucks. It's not how everybody wants to win, but, and if you're going to go on that, with them saying, giving him another fight after that, because it wasn't definitive for them, why didn't Anderson get another crack at Weidman? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The first fight he was clowning him and then just got tagged as being an idiot, kind of, clowning too much. And then the second fight, he wasn't doing the clowning around anymore, but, it was very early in the fight. I believe it was first or second round, and he cracks his leg in half too. But again, no third fight there, not even any talks of it, So why is it different for now? It's because it's Conor, right? And it's a money-making machine. And like I said, I understand it, but you can't keep doing it over and over and over again. Like I think they got to give Conor somebody else. I think at Tony Ferguson, in my mind, I think that fight kind of makes more sense. Just stylistically, it's a pretty interesting matchup. Tony has been on a skid too. It's still a big name, and it's still a fight that they can really push rather than somebody that's like the number 10 spot that people don't really know as well. That'd be hard to sell with a Conor fight.
I think you can sell anything with the Conor fight. Like, I could fight Conor, and you can definitely sell that in some capacity. You just let Conor, be more genuine with his trash talk or anything like that. I think, a name that's been floating around is the guy that weighed in as the backup for this fight, Rafael Dos Anjos. They were supposed to fight originally at UFC 196 before Dos Anjos actually broke his ankle in training camp. And then, that Nate Diaz comes in, and then the MMA world is a different universe after that moment where Nate chokes out Conor at UFC 196. So I'd like to see it. Plus, they got into a little skirmish at the weigh-ins. So, Dos Anjos is always tough, durable. He can still win fights. It's an interesting matchup, I think, for Conor. Why not go for that? Ferguson's a name I've seen floated around as well, but you got to give him someone like that. He can't be fighting like one of the elite guys like Poirier again.
No, yeah, I agree. And I don't think anybody in that top 5 right now, no Gaethje, no Chandler, no Poirier.
Gaethje would be such a bad matchup right now.
Yeah, I thought about that fight a lot too. And the old Gaethje, I think, would favor very well for Conor. But the improvements that Gaethje's made in not being just a savage and getting hit a lot and wobbled every fight, that's a much more tougher fight now than Conor. But like I said, the old one I think Conor would pick him apart and knock him out. But I like the Santos one. I like that one. I think it's a good fight. It's a big name, former champ, still relevant, still doing well. They're supposed to fight it before, so there's some story there. It's a good one.
Yeah, I think that's where we definitely could go next for Conor. I don't know. It's still up in the air. Like, even if the Diaz fight's also there too for Conor if he wants to move up to 170. And I think, that's the big one. That's always in the UFC's back pocket. I think they can do it. And honestly, Conor right now could just float from weight class and be like a special attraction guy. And I think I'd be more okay with it than him being like, I'm such ranked in such division. Like, no, you're not, because you're not going to stay there or defend a title if you per se win it. Yeah.
I think the Nate one, I think they're going to pull that one out when they feel, Conor's kind of he's never going to run his course completely because he has so many fans and people that just want to see him win or lose. So he'll never totally run his course, but people will get tired of the same shtick if he just continues to be on the downswing. But a fight like a Nate Diaz, the trilogy again, and Nate's such a huge star now. Like, everybody loves him. So that's
arguably the number 2 draw in the sport.
Yeah, really, and it's and it came from them fighting each other. Yep. Really, So I think that is the biggest fight they can make for Conor and for the UFC right now, probably.
It wouldn't surprise me if that was sometime next summer or anything like that, because it's not like you're getting Nate Diaz every 3 or 4 months or anything like that either. So wouldn't surprise me.
Like you said, first, maybe end of the first quarter, start of the second quarter next year, possibly.
Yeah, or if they can get a bigger type, marquee city like Los Angeles, New York, or something like that in there, I could see as well. But the thing about this now coming out, it always sucks we have to talk about Conor, but Dustin Poirier, as we said, he looked great. He's now finally fighting for the title with a really good chance, I think, of becoming the champion, which has been his dream all in all. I just don't Dustin Poirier is an elite level fighter, and he proves it time and time again, and really made Conor look like a B- fighter.
Yeah, this is a risk that paid off for him. You know what I mean? Yep. Because he took the risk of fighting Conor and not fighting for the belt, which I think is a smart move because you're going to get paid more. I think you're going to get paid more. I don't know that for sure, depending on contracts, how they're put in there. If he's getting percentages of pay-per-view buys, if he is getting that, then yes, it was definitely the right move. Everybody always says, "Oh, you're fighting Conor, you get a money fight," but that's not always entirely true. You know what I mean? Like, Conor is getting it, but are you? Depending on your contract, you may or may not be. So I think he definitely paid off there, and now he gets, he beat Conor for the second time, and in my mind ended the trilogy. Mm-hmm. and now he's going to fight Oliveira for the real strap. And that's two guys. I think it's also good because that's two guys that have been in the UFC for such a long time and have such long careers, and they finally put themselves at the number 1 and 2 spot at that, in this division. So it's pretty cool to see that.
Well, when that fight happens, because I'm assuming it happens before the end of 2021. I know Dustin said he didn't really want to get back into a camp after pretty much training for the 2 Conor fights for like all of 2021.
I could see December or something like that.
Yeah, I could see December as well, or maybe November, but I think they're saving that for Colby Usman too. But like the trash talk for Oliveira and Poirier is going to be so much different for the Conor fights, because there's going to be so much respect between the two. Both guys, like you said, they've kind of driven the same path in the UFC. They've had ups, they've had downs, they've had Oliveira's nearly been cut. Like, we never thought really Poirier would get to this point of actually getting a real title fight. Now he's getting it. He's been an interim champion. Whereas with the Conor stuff, I mean, there was so much talks about Poirier's wife, like just trying to really intensify this rivalry. But I think Poirier played it well, showed his maturity, didn't really buy into it until maybe post-fight. But man, like Conor talking about Dustin's wife was definitely not a good look for MMA.
No, it's not. It's not a good look for Conor either. What I mean? They know you're going to have your Conor fans that just like, they don't give a shit what he says. He could say, the worst thing ever and they'll still love him. But I do think that you kind of seen a decline in his fan base just from the past few fights, and also just from, what he's saying now in his trash talk. And I understand trash talk he does it the best because he sells his fights. But, there's some things you say that some people will laugh about it, and then some people are like, "Yo, the guys talk across the line," kind of a bit type thing, But like all this shit, like people are, you don't threaten somebody to kill them or talk shit about their wife or whatnot. But I remember, this is the same guy that threw a fucking thing through a bus window, and like physically, tried to assault somebody, at a van full of people. So I think that is way worse than like talking some shit. You know what I mean? So people tend to forget that.
For sure, especially because that affected a lot of lower level fighters in the UFC that were going to be on a bigger pay-per-view, especially in the New York area. But I mean, still, I hate talking about like, I'm going to kill you, because one punch could kill you in this sport, right? And I can see that. And I thought Dustin played it well, but like just the things he said about, Dustin's wife with her right there. I mean, that's just like, if someone said that about your wife in the cage, broken ankle or not, you're running across, kneeing him in the face.
I might not knee him in the face, might just stomp on the ankle.
The old Steve Austin.
Yeah, I've seen those memes with the McMahon in the hospital. That was dying laughing at that. But yeah, man, I mean, it's just like, it's just hard to take seriously from a guy that's on the ground, and you just beat for the second time and has a broken ankle, and you were beating the shit out of him for the whole round. So it's like, it's almost like it's just kind of sad,
What did you think of them interviewing Conor on the ground? Because I understand this policy of Joe Rogan and the UFC, like, let's not interview knocked out fighters. Yeah. But it wasn't like Conor was knocked out. His ankle was sure jacked up, and the trainers, the EMTs were trying to set it and whatever so they could stretch him out. But I thought in the moment with him, being conscious still, I thought it was a solid thing to interview him.
I don't mind it, really. I don't like when somebody gets like totally iced and they're they're not all there. That just, it's not a good time to talk to them. Give them a little bit of time, you know what I mean? But yeah, he's fully conscious. Definitely probably in some shock though, I would imagine. I don't know, maybe. I've never had that happen, nor do I want it to ever. But yeah, I mean, he was sitting there, and if he's cool to talk, and why not do it if it's possible, I guess.
I think it just added to the story of what we needed to be told, and he wasn't in the worst spot. I mean, obviously, circumstances in MMA are different than like the NFL or the NHL, where if someone broke their leg, you wouldn't be like, let's get a mic right in there in that case. But MMA and combat sports is a little different. maybe you kind of want to do that. I don't know. I saw some people say that's one of the worst things ever. I'm like, did you not hear what the guy on the ground was saying? That's a little bit worse to me than just interviewing him. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think Conor could have continued to sell the next fight, but he could have done it in a different way. He could have said like, I didn't quit. The doctor stopped this. I want to keep fighting. This is, I can't, something along those lines. It's not over yet, but rather than just go right to the attacking his wife and whatnot. I mean, that's just also me personally, but like, there's so many people out there that just love this, just talking shit type, atmosphere. And that's all they really care about is they just, I don't know, they're into that kind of shit.
Yes, everyone loves drama in
drama. In this day. And it's usually negative drama, right? The people aren't usually drawn to positivity anymore.
I was gonna say, what is positive drama, Josh? I don't think there's ever been positive drama in anyone's life.
I mean,
I know what you mean, but I don't think there's positive drama.
Positive drama would be Poirier Oliveira.
That is positive drama. That will be positive drama at some point going on. And then, you know what? I'm glad that fight's happening. I mean, like you said, two guys that it worked about. The only thing that sucks for Oliveira, they spelled his name wrong on the nameplate. That's just how can you let that happen?
Did they really?
Yeah, they spelt it wrong. There's like a couple vowels misplaced around. Just not a good look when you're the Ultimate Fighting Championship. And I guess, we're kind of talking about the interview aspect. What did you think of like Stephen A., Max Kellerman, and Teddy Atlas on the show?
This shit.
Well, Stephen A. is one thing. I know a lot of people in the MMA bubble don't. But like Max Kellerman's got a serious, pedigree in being, one of the best boxing analysts.
Yeah. Are we boxing?
Everything starts on the feet, Josh. But I get what you're saying.
Not boxing though.
I don't know. I didn't mind.
Bro, it's MMA. This is a totally different sport. 100%. Boxing. The way one can box in boxing is you cannot do completely the same in MMA. You just can't.
For sure. I'm definitely not debating that. It's just I didn't mind Kellerman out there, honestly, except when he was talking about jiu-jitsu, where like I don't know if you've ever done jiu-jitsu in your life. And like to come out of the fight with Kellerman and Teddy Atlas, two boxing guys during one of the biggest MMA fights. I don't know, like
and not because just was what I just said, but like why just because they're bigger names in the boxing world? There is thousands of people they could have got to fill that role, former fighters, whatnot, to speak and analyze things like they did, and they would do a much better job because they know exactly what they're talking about. And I just think it's unneeded. It's unnecessary. And you're just trying to, like, we take enough from boxing as it is. We don't need any more. You know what I mean? Like, at least the 10-9 the rounds and whatnot. So the rules said a lot of it. I just, I don't like it. I think they could have, keep going with what you're doing with the fighters. Guys like Felder, guys like Chiesa, Dom, all these guys. I think that's what needs to be done.
Well, Dom was there. And he was on the desk with Stephen A. Yeah. And I honestly thought Stephen A., at least in the desk aspect, is okay. It's not like when it came out that he was going to be when it came out that he was going to be a part of it, I think a lot of people thought they're going to throw him on commentary, which would have been an absolute train wreck. And thank God we kept it with Rogan, Anik, and DC as the broadcast crew. But I thought Stephen A. was okay, honestly. If you're going to keep him in the desk role, the desk role sometimes is better for some of these people. So I was okay with him there. I don't expect this to be a tradition unless Conor's fighting, every weekend or anything like that, which is not happening. But that's the ESPN influence. They can sprinkle their things and the UFC will say, okay.
Fuck that guy. I don't want that guy. I want him out of the sport. I mean, he shouldn't even be a part of MMA. I don't understand why he is. I don't like him. I think he's a piece of shit. I don't want to hear him speak, and I don't want to hear him speak, especially about my sport, So pissed off with that guy. I understand what you're saying about the ESPN stuff, but yeah, I just have high dislike for that man.
Damn. What Stephen A. do to you, Josh?
Nothing personally to me. I've never met the guy. And maybe he's a nicer guy in person. Probably, because he probably puts on a frame. But just the shit he said and done in the past, I don't know, 2 years or whatever, especially just creeping in MMA and saying things that he doesn't know anything about. As far from a lot of things, man, like just the cowboy thing was one thing. The women's MMA, the way he talks about like with McGregor, he rubs me the wrong way. I don't want him there.
And who would have thought he would have gotten himself in hot water on his own show talking about baseball instead of being on the MMA show
That's right,
on Saturday talking about Mr. Ohtani being the face of baseball, but he can't speak English. And just all the backlash from every Asian, American, Canadian, whatever it may be. Terrible comment from Stephen A. But like he makes himself get into hot water on his own show.
That Joe Rogan thing real about like he like actually called him out to fight or some shit?
I have no idea of this, and please tell me it's not real because I've seen Stephen A. striking it.
I hope it is real. I mean, I would just love to. I mean, it's never going to happen, but I would just love to see Joe.
Joe Rogan is a legit like martial artist. He's like a black belt in Taekwondo. That would be over
as well. So like that's what I mean. I love if that guy had the audacity to actually really challenge him to fight. I mean, Joe, I don't even think he would take it because it's just so like a kid and a child or an adult and a child,
Yeah.
But I just found that amusing. I was hoping it was true. I wasn't sure.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I can't believe that's floating out there that Stephen A. like challenged Joe Rogan. Things that are, but you know what? In this craziness that is combat sports, that is not out of the realm right now of being a real thing. So I didn't even know about it, but hopefully not. As Stephen A., he's got many things to worry about, like First Take and the NBA Finals and whatnot. But we'll be seeing Stephen A. probably by the next Conor McGregor show. So you, Josh, you got yourself at least a year off of Stephen A. now.
Good. It's not long enough, though.
It's definitely not for many people. But there was other fights on this card, Josh. I mean, our co-main event was a pretty interesting one at 170 pounds with Gilbert Burns, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And, Dana White said this was not a good fight. Technically it wasn't a great masterpiece to go watch or you're going to, rewind it. But I thought Burns fought the perfect fight, was able to actually get Thompson down and, solidify himself. Maybe not a title shot, but a bigger name at 170.
Yeah, define good fight.
Dana wants you to just stand and just throw no defense, as every MMA fan does, have 700 stitches and teeth everywhere.
100%, right? So why would you sit there and engage with one of the technically best strikers in the game who is not known for his jiu-jitsu or his wrestling and his footwork and his movement and his awkwardness and his kickboxing style is among the best. I mean, exactly that. It wasn't some brawl like, everybody, the UFC fans and whatnot, and Dana what likes to see. But I think it was a very technical and very smart fight on Gilbert Burns' part, and he, took him where he's not as dangerous, you know what I mean? And, controlled the majority of the fight and got the win, like really. And what else? You're going there to win, right? So that's the first and foremost. That's how you get paid. The entertainment. I mean, some guys don't care. Some guys are, usually ends up having short careers, but they go there just to bang and put on a show, and they don't care the win or loss. And you kind of see those guys fade out over time, and it's the ones that are smarter and more technical, the ones that usually last long.
Yeah, we had a guy like that on that card, Michelle Pereira, on the prelims against Nico Price, where that guy is literally that guy's literally said, like, I don't really care for titles. I just want to have fun fights and do his backflips and whatever.
You've seen he's changed totally, right? He's not doing, since the Tristan fight, he doesn't really. I mean, you'll see him throw the occasional crazy thing, but before it was like he was running around the ring like every 2 seconds, and then you gas out in the first round if you didn't finish the guy. So he's definitely changed his approach to things.
He's changed his approach for sure. I think he still wants to do those things, but no, he still has cardio issues. That guy was running out of gas in that third round. Definitely lost it, and lost this won a decision. But if he had that cardio issue continuing, he's not going to be any further on. But maybe he doesn't want to be. He just wants to go for 2 rounds, flip into your guard, and put on a spectacle. And honestly, that's okay with me if we have some guys that are willing to do that entertainment. If they know their standard, if they know that I'm not getting a title shot by doing a backflip into your guard or anything like that, because obviously not. You're not that elite level to get there. But I'm fine with people that want to put on a show. Now, Burns is in a different spot where he's trying to get another title shot, where you gotta do what you gotta do. If you gotta smother Stephen Thompson, that's what you gotta do. And I was more impressed at just how he was able to take him down. Like, Thompson's a tough guy to take down for being a karate-based fighter.
Yeah, and keep him down, control him, and that he did. So, I mean, he's obviously probably the stronger of the two. He's the shorter, stockier guy, and jiu-jitsu wizard on the ground, right? So, but still, I mean, Wonderboy. I was pulling for Wonderboy, man. I mean, I have nothing against Burns, but I just I'm a fan of Wonderboy, and he's been around a long time, and he's had title shots and come close, had a draw with Woodley, and built himself back up. And also, it would be like a clear, definitive number one contender after Covington for Usman, because they haven't fought yet,
Yeah, and I think right now, I guess Wonderboy is just going to be like that gatekeeper role that like Damian Maia was. Now that Maia is pretty much out of the UFC and like retired from MMA, it's just going to be, if you want to be the next level, you got to get through Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. So
I mean, if he pulls off like another 2 wins in a row against high level guys, he could still be there, especially if Usman is still the champ at that time. But yeah, definitely set him back, a year. He
need 2 wins, and I think he need like second round at the latest finishes as well to really get, I think, the fire. We know how good he is, but like right now, he's definitely like 3rd or 4th in line for how stacked 170 is getting in the UFC. Yeah. But as well, we had on this card a heavyweight fight: Tai Tuivasa, Greg Hardy. I think Greg Hardy is, he's really become like the ultimate heel in MMA. Like everyone, like no one wants to say a nice thing about this guy. I picked him to win the fight, honestly. Thought he was the better athlete. And it was concerning when I saw one of the embeddeds of Tuivasa arriving in Vegas and being like, the pool parties are back. Very concerning. But Tuivasa, he may like to drink beer out of a shoe, but he can punch really hard, and knocked Hardy backwards and out on his feet after getting tagged by Hardy himself.
Yeah. This one was kind of like a toss-up. I thought, Hardy, I mean, in heavyweights like this, it's whoever kind of lands first, really, and fuck, they hit so hard, right? So, and Hardy's so big, man, like he's huge, like and Tai Tuivasa is probably 6'2", 260 pounds or whatever he is, but Hardy, he just looked even way bigger than him. But yeah, I mean, I was glad to see. I like that Thai guy. He's a fun guy. I don't think anybody dislikes him. Just drinking the beers out of the shoe and shit. So yeah, I was happy to see him win. I'm not a Hardy fan. I don't think anybody is really.
I'm a fan of the athlete that Greg Hardy is, because this is a guy that was an elite level NFL defensive lineman that I think has some okay MMA skills. Maybe was rushed a little too quickly into the UFC, and it's 100%. Showing. Yeah. It's showing for sure, but he just alienates himself every time he gets on a microphone or
he's got the bad history too, right?
Yes, that's how it's going to be with him. But I mean, he just makes it worse. Like if he tried to at least adore himself to the media or something, maybe people would turn their opinion on him. I know what he did in his past, which ended up getting him kicked out of the NFL, is heinous and horrible. But you just can't. He just comes off as a dick, and no one wants to root for him.
He's kind of running with it now. He knows he can't win over anybody because
sure,
history, and he just said, fuck it, I'm just gonna be heel. You know what I mean? And maybe that'll make him more money. I don't know, right?
Sure.
Or he's just a dick in real life, and that's how he is. I don't know. Never met the guy, so can't say. But yeah, he comes off as somebody you don't like.
Sure, and you know what? The sport needs guys like that. Like the sport needs guys like Tai Tuivasa who drink beer out of shoes. I mean, no way in hell am I drinking a beer out of a shoe. Like, I'm not even drinking a beer to begin with. I don't drink. But out of a shoe? Good Lord. Did you see the one guy pour hot sauce in there? Like, what a horrible person that man was. Like, trying to kill Tai Tuivasa.
With hot sauce, man. Like, that's disgusting. I mean, yeah, drinking it out of your shoe is gross, but like somebody else's shoe that's been standing there all night watching fights, probably sweating profusely. That's pretty disgusting.
That you don't know is wearing socks either. Like, you don't know.
That's gross, dude.
It's horrible.
I can't do that.
Tai Tuivasa, though, would be like the perfect WWE character right now. Just a big guy that likes to party. Like, in the Attitude Era.
Like, physically, like he's kind of fat and sloppy looking. He's not like a shredded, ripped up guy. You know what I mean? And got those tats, like all the. Was he Australian? Australian, right?
He is Australian, yes.
Yeah. Got those like Australian tribal type tats. And yeah, man, he's just a fun, interesting character.
I mean, we had Irene Aldana kind of run through Yana Kunitskaya. Unfortunately, she missed weight. I mean, the funniest part of it was Dana said that he was going to give her a bonus and then didn't know she missed weight at the post-fight press conference. Like, I didn't know she missed weight. I guess I got to hold off on this money giving right now. Man. So, but Aldana looked great. I think definitely is like either next or another fight away, especially because she missed weight for fighting for the women's bantamweight title. Because, I mean, let's be real. We have another fight with that left. We're just trying to find contenders for Nunes at this point.
Yeah, that was at 35, right?
Yeah.
35? Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, who else is there? Really?
Do we go back to Holly Holm? It's like, but we've seen that. So
yeah, I know. It sucks because Holly's in that spot, right? Where like she's kind of in that Joseph Benavidez spot with DJ, where you can't fight him again, but you're still beating all other people. So it's a tough spot to be in. So I don't know what they do. They got to find some new blood.
It's tough too because like you have a performance like that, but you miss weight, and I don't know. It's been
a title fight off of miss weight.
Yeah, that too. But we come to the opener, Josh. Sean O'Malley, Chris Moutinho.
Oh, man.
First of all, give credit to Chris Moutinho. He took so much damage in that fight, especially the shots landed to his face. Like he was just blocking punches with his face. But to stop the fight with 30 seconds left after he'd taken all that damage, that was a crime by Herb Dean.
Yeah, I love her, man. But that was, I think, like if you're gonna stop it, dude, you could have stopped that like long ago. Why 30 seconds left? Let the guy at least get the decision loss rather than a TKO. You know what I mean? And yeah, at least finish the 15 minutes in there. That was bad though, man. Like, I will give credit to him. Like he's super, super tough and heart and like did not stop coming forward. So credit to that guy for his toughness, man. But like, as far as skill set wise with O'Malley, it was like a rookie versus a 10-year vet. You know what I mean? It was such a mismatch. And like, are you really telling me they couldn't have found somebody that with a closer skill set to O'Malley, in this time? I mean, hard to believe, but.
Well, they had Ricky Simone, but he couldn't make the 135, and the UFC has this thing where they hate catchweights, so they just won't do it. So Ricky had to sit at home.
Like it's short notice, it's not a huge deal. It's not like you're, if they did 140, because he took the fight at 2 weeks. It's, I mean, I guess I know you like it in the weight class. I understand that, and I do too. But it just in the circumstances, it makes sense.
I understand hating it and not wanting to do it, but. It's not like the UFC's never done a catchweight. Yeah. There's been times where they've had like, we have to make this a catchweight last minute because we still want the fight to go on, what have you. They could have done that for sure. And,
I think it's because it was O'Malley. If it was the first fight on the prelims with somebody that relatively
sure,
they would have done
but just this idea that catchweights are bad. Like they're actually not bad. They're actually healthier in a way, but you could have at least done that and had a better fight from the opponent. Like, don't get me wrong, Moutinho, he earned a lot of respect from people. He definitely was gonna try to fight and earn a second fight in the UFC. I think he's done that. He won a bonus. He won $75,000, which will do him very well. I think he'll be much better with a full fight camp. Like he was training for a fight for next month with CFFC, but. I just felt more bad for him that he was robbed of the last 30 seconds. Like, if you're going to punch me in the face and I'm not going to go away, why take it away from me when this could have been stopped between both the first and second round or towards the end of the first or second round?
Any time, really, just because, you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I felt bad for guy in that sense, but it was like the amount of brain damage that guy just took in that, 14 and a half minutes. It was that's not good.
I think O'Malley landed 144 strikes to the head.
But I've seen people like, man, that was amazing. That was great. That was awesome. To me, I'm like, dude, like move your fucking head, get some defensive skill sets. All you did was follow him the whole time, cut him off, use the cage, use your angles. You literally just followed him the whole time and got picked apart. You think after the first round, maybe make some adjustments. I understand you're just trying to put the pressure on him and you're going to eat shots and you're just going to try to, impress the UFC and whatnot and try to tire him out. But like at some point you got to take some, you got to make some adjustments here to do something because it's obviously not working, but they didn't.
As good as the striking looked with OMalley, and it shows he's an excellent striker, I don't think this fight did him any favors because Herb Dean had to stop him. It wasn't like Sean put away Chris Moutinho or anything like that. Now he's out there calling for like Frankie Edgars and some of these elite bantamweights. I think those elite bantamweights would eat him alive.
I disagree with that. I don't think it did him any harm. I think it showcased, first of all, it is hard to go backwards for that long when you have somebody literally just walking forward at you. That's why Khabib did so well, because he puts pressure on guys so much, but he uses his wrestling grappling more. So this guy was trying to strike. But when you have somebody constantly, you're not used to going backwards. It's way more tiring. And the amount of strikes that he threw, OMalley, and landed, was, his punch clock was through the roof. So that takes a lot, man. And to be able to slide off those angles and still land those shots and keep your distance like he did, definitely a very, very good striking. So yeah, I don't think it really took anything away from him. It was a masterful performance. You literally beat the shit out of the guy for the whole round. Barely, got hit with a whole lot. You got tagged with some, you're going to get hit. But yeah, I think it did him well. And like, I think, this will give him not this particular fight, but I think he'll just continue to add to, getting him a bigger name. Like, I know they're trying to get him and Cody, or I know they're bickering back and forth, and, and that's an interesting fight. That's a really good fight. I would like to see that.
I'd like to see it too, but as we've said before, I'd like to see Cody Moore at 125, where I think he's going to be successful. And he already kind of announced he was there, though. Nothing. He doesn't have a fight lined up right now at 125. But I don't know. If you're that elite of a striker against the guy who had no defense, his defense was catching punches with his face. Mm-hmm. You got to find a way to put this guy away. I know Moutinho's tough, and I don't want to doubt his hardness, but if you're that elite of a striker, you're going to find a combination or something, I think, where you'll put him away, and I think that would have done him maybe a little bit more favors.
Well, of course, if you ice the guy, of course it's going to be better for you. But I don't think that had anything to do with your elite level of being a striker. I think that he showed that he's an elite level striker by that. Now, does he have that one punch power? He does have it. We've seen him knock out like Wineland and stuff. But, dude, it's not every fight that you land it right on the chin and this guy goes to sleep. Sometimes, and some people are built different too. This guy's obviously a tough cat and took some punishment. And also, the difference being, when OMalley lands some of those strikes, it's usually him on the offense going forward, right? But when you're backing up, going backwards, your momentum's going backwards, it is harder to knock guys out doing that. So that's where I think, it differentiates a bit. But I think the performance is great.
Well, the OMalley train continues its revival. It's back on track 100%. And
I'm not even I'm not a big OMalley fan at all.
Not saying you are. You're just judging the performance.
Yeah, I was just totally judging the performance, and I want to see him in there with somebody. I want to see him in there with a good wrestler. Really, I want to see him in there with a Jimmy Rivera would have been good. A Cody Stamen maybe, or somebody. Frankie. I just worry. He's definitely older, taking his last few fights, taking a lot of damage and a lot of abuse. So that might not be a great one. But the Frankie of old would definitely be a tough matchup for him. So, but yeah, I want to see somebody really test his overall game, not just a striking game.
I think I agree. I think Edgar would be interesting as well. I think Edgar at 135 hasn't been a success, but his last fight, he got hit with the most picture-perfect knee against one of the elite bantamweights in the world in Corey Sandhagen. You said Rivera. I think Rivera would be a good test. Another name that's kind of being floated, Dominic Cruz, former champion, can really push the pace and had a real tough fight against Casey Kenny a couple months ago. I could see them maybe doing that. I know Frankie's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, is trying to get the fight for O'Malley and Edgar at MSG come November. Could happen. I don't know. I mean, nothing's official or what have you, but whether you think the performance was, poor for O'Malley, or you didn't like, how he ended up fighting a guy like Chris Moutinho, his train's back on track, and he's gonna get a name at least.
Yeah, or like a guy like Pedro Munoz. I know he's lined up to fight Aldo, but that would be another good name for him. Somebody like that, you know what I mean?
I still want the Cheeto Vera fight again.
I
really want that fight, because if O'Malley loses to Vera twice, then I wonder what his excuse would be, because he really didn't handle that loss well at all. Didn't even call it a loss. Said he still won the fight.
Yeah, I think that's just he's trying to keep his bravado, like trying to keep that, that mental, undefeated, aura in his mindset. He's just trying to, that's how he just stays on top. That's how he keeps his confidence going. You know what I mean? So I can understand it, but yeah, I mean, you fucking lost, bro.
I can understand it, but when you went from the undefeated ranks, you were like, I still won the fight, but came out with the shorter end of the money, but still won.
I mean, you just pull a Chael and just be undefeated, undisputed.
Show up at press conferences with belts.
Yeah, I mean, only one person can do that, and that's Chael, and he gets a pass on doing it just because of how awesome he is. But yeah.
Yeah, well, that was like the main card of UFC 264. I mean, as we talked about the Pereira fight, Ilia Torpia at 145 looked great, knocking out Ryan Hall, who I don't know what Ryan Hall was doing.
I don't know what the fuck Ryan was doing.
Like throwing spinning hook kicks. I'm like, you're a jiu-jitsu guy.
Well, he does that always, and that's not what I was talking about. I mean, he did that with Darren when he fought Elkins and dropped Elkins with it. And the reason why I think that's a great move for him is because it's, first of all, it's very unorthodox, right? Like, it's just not not like a jab or a cross or low kick. But also, if I'm a guy at his jiu-jitsu level, I'm throwing so many head kicks and throwing many body kicks because I don't care if I'm getting taken down. I want the fight to go to the ground, right? So that's what I think he has the advantage to do that kind of stuff where he has no regard for the takedown because he doesn't care. Or a lot of people don't really throw that stuff because they're worried about being off balance and getting taken down. He doesn't have to worry about that. But what he was doing, which is crazy, all he did was kept going for an Imanari roll. And he did it. I don't understand. He did it like 8 times in a row and didn't get close to it at all. And just continues. I've seen a thing where he broke his hand.
Yeah, I saw that too.
You know what I mean? But still, there's other ways to get this fight even to a clinch or to get a takedown than that. And it's the most jiu-jitsu thing you could do to get it to the mat and go for those heels. But yeah, it showed that if you have a good posture, good base, and good body awareness, then land is totally different when you're getting hit, man. The sport jiu-jitsu shit doesn't work as much.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it shows that if you're a high-level grappler and you do those high-level grappling competitions, it doesn't always translate to mixed martial arts as you would think it would. You gotta evolve the game. You gotta let the hands go. Find ways to throw, leg kicks, calf kicks, as that was the talk of the whole freaking week. Something like that, but because you're gonna end up getting caught like how Torpia caught you, and ground and pounded out. And
I still think Ryan Hall is like a tough matchup for a lot of people. Like you look at who he's fought, and got some wins over. And like I said, the things he can do because he doesn't get, throw those weird head kicks, throw head kicks all day, throw push kicks, throw spinning, fucking jump, anything you want. Because if you land on the ground, it doesn't matter. That's why you have that kind of advantage in your back pocket with that. So he's still a tough matchup for guys, but yeah, you cannot just get into that. He's got to get out of that jiu-jitsu mentality. And now he just know he's in a fight still, and he's going to get punched in the head. And there's severe repercussions if you don't acknowledge that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it was a successful card. Apparently 1.8 million pay-per-view buys. So that's really great business to see. As we have 10 minutes left, I mean, before we got on, it's official, Josh. Nick Diaz, Robbie Lawler 2, September. To me, this is my favorite rematch, I think, in quite a while. It makes so much sense for both guys. Their last fight was back in 2004. I think I was in the 8th grade then. Thank God bless the MMA gods for making this fight happen. I'm so excited.
This fight, to me, is the most excited I've been for a fight I can't even think of another fight that in relative history that I've been this excited for, just because I think it's a perfect fight. Perfect. They finally got it right, and they picked two guys that like there couldn't have been anybody else. I mean, there could have been, but this was the right matchup. Nick Diaz, I love watching him fight. One of my favorites. Yeah, I like him much more than Nate, and I do like Nate a lot. And then Robbie Lawler, this ruthless legend. You know what I mean? I don't know anybody that doesn't like Robbie. So, and then for Nick to be out for so long, they're both in more like they're on the back nine of their careers for sure. Older guys now. Them to have a fight, like you said, when was it? 2005? 2004. So 17 years ago. 17 years. That's insane. Most people's careers don't last that long or nearly. So yeah, I think it's a great matchup, man, and it's a 5-rounder.
I know that's the best about this fight.
That benefits Nick, in my opinion. Any Diaz benefits over whoever it is, the longer the fight goes, right? So, but yeah, man, I'm pumped for that. I'm so stoked, and I think that it was like a perfect match.
It is. It really is, because to me, whoever loses, there's still options for them to have fights. Like if Nick Diaz loses, you can just give me Carlos Condit. Just give me guys like rematches for Nick Diaz when he comes back. I really don't want to see Nick fight some of these top guys at 170 or anything like that. Though I think he could maybe hang to an extent. But just the idea that it's Nick Diaz back fighting someone that he's not only fought but beaten, and so much in their careers since 2004 has changed. Like Nick Diaz was in the UFC, had
what was it, like 18 or something like that? They're both super young. I remember.
Robbie was that young phenom at that point, like the one punch knockout power kind of guy. Nick was just there to really take an L, and then he drops Lawler. Nick Diaz has brawls with Joe Riggs in hospitals, starts near riots in Hawaii with KJ Noons in Elite XC, skips out on press conferences with George St. Pierre, where Robbie Lawler was a guy that, and then, gets the suspension, whatever. And then Robbie Lawler was a guy that we thought.
The Strike Force brawl, too.
Oh, well.
Was that Strike Force or the XC?
Strike Force. That was Strike Force, yes. Yeah. He was involved in that, yes, for sure. Him and the great picture of him and Nate, like with their fist back, just ready to cock on Jason Mayhem Miller. And then Robbie was a guy that was supposed to be this next up and comer, kind of found some success in Elite XC, was their, I believe, middleweight champion at the point, because they kind of did the weight classes different. Looked like he was towards the end of his career in Strike Force, and then when Strike Force gets bought, rises out of the ashes to eventually a championship, and now looks like he's actually on the down end of his career. But we don't know, because that's what makes this fight so great. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I like seeing that, because I think they were just fulfilling his contract when they bought out, a couple of those guys, like Mark Hunt was one. Like there was a few guys anyway that they just kind of had to give them fights, and I didn't think they'd think much of them. And then he was the one that kind of had that resurgence and became champ, man. And then, like you said with Diaz, he's got this whole story, and it's crazy that he's been out of the game, since the Anderson fight. That's so long ago, which sucks, because we missed out on prime years of Nick Diaz. You know what I mean? But at least we get to see him now.
But the reason we missed out on Nick Diaz was he tested positive for marijuana. But in Nevada and USADA no more, they're not testing for that. So thank God, Nevada, for getting
5 years for weed. Imagine that, where TJ Dillashaw gets 2 years for EPO.
Yes.
What world do we live in? Nothing makes sense anymore. Everything is just so backward.
Not only gets 5 years, gets a special on UFC Fight Pass about his comeback.
Yeah. Oh, TJ, you mean?
Yeah.
It was just
which was more, if you've watched it, more like USADA. Like, this is what we do. Like, more about USADA than Dillashaw or anything like that.
Was it? I haven't seen it, but I've seen the preview for it. Yeah.
Everyone's seen the preview. If you watch a UFC show in Canada, 700 times you've seen the preview.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man, it's so crazy, and so I'm glad that shit, at least in Nevada.
Well, the reason I like it, obviously, because one, thank God Nevada's got with 2021, but Nevada is the commission that other commissions kind of copy what they do. So hopefully by some point,
right? So
yeah, hopefully by 2023 we can get Nevada our marijuana like no longer need to be tested.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, there's no enhancement there in my mind. And I mean, I think majority of people. So I think it should be abolished 100%.
There's no enhancement. The only thing it enhances, I guess, is your need for Doritos. But honestly, thank God that we have commissions kind of looking into that. And at least with USADA too, if you're a UFC fighter, you're not going to be suspended or flagged for marijuana.
Yeah, I remember in the Ultimate Fighter, like when we got there, and they were like, "Hey, we're testing everybody," and everybody's like, "Oh shit! Oh my god! Oh my god!" And like everybody's like, "Oh yeah, buy some like cranberry juice and flush out our system." And shit. And then they're like, "Guys, if you smoke weed in the past, whatever, it's all good. Don't worry. But from here on out, you can't, But it just that you even have to like think about that when it's proven some of the best medicine in the world and nowhere near an enhancement of in sports. Then yeah, it should be.
It's crazy that Nevada and USADA have come out with this, where there was that Olympic sprinter who can't compete for the U.S. track team, who said she was smoking the marijuana because she was coping with a mental health with her mother passing or some illness or something with her mother. So it's a 1 month suspension, but unfortunately that 1 month is during the Olympics for her.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that's why we need to just realize marijuana is a therapeutic thing for some people, and just get with the times. It's 2021. It's legal pretty much all around the world now.
So if USADA came to my place and I was drinking a beer when they came over and it was in my system,
if you tested positive for Miller Lite?
No, like just alcohol, right? Is that a banned substance, alcohol?
I don't think so. I don't think you saw. It's just really performance enhancement. Yeah, so it's like, oh, if you test positive for, some form of creatine that was hidden or anything like that.
That's like, to me, I mean, if I have alcohol, that's an enhancement. It's going to give me a little more courage, a little liquid courage, a little more confidence. Shake off the nerves a little bit. Have 2 shots before I fight. That would be more an enhancement in my mind. But I mean, it just. Regardless, I think it's got to go. Well,
I mean, USADA's here to stay, but at least marijuana no longer for USADA and Nevada, so that's a positive thing. But yeah, I mean, we're kind of getting back into the rhythm too with fights. Bellator has a fight card on Friday. LFA has not one but 2 cards this weekend, both from Brazil. So yeah, we're getting back into the rhythm. I mean, next weekend we have the big. Dillashaw return, which I guess we can get more into about him returning against Sandhagen, and then after that we have the biggest Bellator fight in history in McKee Pitbull.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one. Man. That'd be good.
Saturday night for Bellator too.
Crazy. Yeah, I don't know that. I think it's just a one-off because they're going back to Friday.
There's two Saturday. The Fedor one is a Saturday as well.
Oh, really?
I think there's another one as well. Bellator seems like these bigger cards are Saturday nights.
I think they're like, it's the cards that they're stacking up to like some of their best ones, like every say 3 months or so. Tend to be, they're putting them on Saturdays. Maybe that's kind of the trend, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's a big July for combat sports, and as well, I mean, big month for sports too, with the Olympics starting as well in like literally a couple weeks without fans in Tokyo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I'll watch it, but I don't have that same I don't know. Maybe just this past year and a half of all this shit, it just doesn't have that same build up, like I used to be. But yeah, I'll tune in for sure.
I think you'll tune in more in 2022 for the winter games with the NHL players back, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, the summer games are good, but I do like watching the winter ones better. The hockey and everything. All right.
The hockey now with NHL players. I really could have cared less the last one in Russia. But before we go, Josh, as it is now 10 o'clock, we did start a little late. I have to end on a sad note. We lost Mr. Wonderful Paul Roy.
I saw that, man. Yeah.
Very sad. One of the greatest
professional.
Well, I'm not sure exactly how he died, though. I know in the past he had been dealing with throat cancer. Not sure if it had returned, but he did beat it at one point just to show his ultimate toughness. But arguably, to me, the definition of what a pro wrestler is supposed to look like, work like, and even cut promos like, a guy that helped with Hogan draw 64,000 people at the old CNE in Toronto for the big event. Like one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time, and really sad to see him go. And a guy that had arguably, I think, one of the more underrated feuds with Hogan during the boom period of the WWF.
Yeah, man. WrestleMania 1, right? With
Piper.
Yeah, so yeah, that sucks, man. He wasn't super old, was he? He can only
71. He was.
Yeah, so that's not very old. You know what I mean? So that sucks. I mean, in the wrestling years, I guess maybe that's a bit on the older side because they all tend to go like 50, 55 now. But yeah, regardless, that's sad, man.
Yeah, very sad. Unfortunate to see the passing of Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. And it's just sad that someone posted a picture of Bobby Heenan's family and they're all gone.
I saw that. Yeah, Andre, King Kong,
Mr. Perfect, Rude,
yeah,
Big John Studd. They're all gone.
All dead, man. Yeah, it's crazy. If you looked at the roster from 1985 to now, how many are still alive in the wrestling world? But half of them are dead.
If you watch any of those 80s WWF pay-per-views, you can play the game. Let's see who's still alive. Yeah. And it's astonishing at how many of them are no longer here, but they live on forever, at least on videotape. So there is always that. But yeah, very sad of Mr. Wonderful, a guy that, I missed his WWF run, obviously, because that was in the too young, but his run in WCW even too was really solid. Some good matches with Mick Foley and even a pretty fun tag team with Paul Roma that's pretty wonderful. So really sad to see just to see these guys go. I hate seeing these guys go.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's brutal to see anybody that you grew up watching go. And I was talking to my wife about it's gonna suck when all these athletes and actors that we grew up on they're creeping up there in age, right? So it's in the next 10 years or so, how many are gonna pass away, right? I mean, that's just everybody, but it's when you grew up with watching some people, it sucks, right?
Well, it's when I grew up, when there were, say there was an event like the UFC last weekend where they're and look at the celebrities. I didn't know much of the celebrities today. And I was when I would grow up, you actually had to be talented at something to be a celebrity. Yeah. I get the sports athletes out there, but all these TikTokers, what the hell?
Dude, I don't know if that. I'm glad that you say that because you're younger than me, and that doesn't show that I'm just an old man now. But I couldn't. They showed a whole bunch of people. I knew some of the fighters, few athletes, and then the rest. I was who's this guy? You know what I mean? I have no idea. I don't know if it's a thing now, but why do guys are dressing up like girls? So they're trying to look as feminine as they can. I don't know. Is that the style nowadays with the But that Machine Gun Kelly there, and I saw Jared Leto. I didn't even know it was him. He looked like I don't know. It didn't look like.
He looked like his character in Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah, I was about to say that same thing, man. But yeah, I don't know. That was just kind of weird.
At least Jared Leto, though, a celebrity, Academy Award-winning actor, a celebrity. Yeah. Unlike these TikTokers who were there, it's me getting older too. I remember watching old boxing fights, and then here's Eddie Murphy when Eddie Murphy's at the peak of Eddie Murphy. Yeah. It's that's a celebrity. That's someone you want to show out there. Not here's some guy with 10 million followers on TikTok. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. No talent really. I mean, you can make the argument, these guys are great. It's a different time, and they have the means to get to the world through their social media. But to me, it's not impressive.
It's not impressive at all, but this show was impressive as we wind down another episode of Jason and the Gentleman. That's our 38th episode, Josh. We're approaching the big 4-0 for this. We passed your age in the amount of shows we've done, so that's
long pass, bro. Shut your mouth, all right? Long pass.
We passed the 15th episode a long time ago. But before I let you go, obviously you got to plug yourself out there on social media where you're gonna post all the great memes that everyone sees on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't have. It's all I got, right? I don't have the TikTok and all that bullshit. So, at Gentleman J.
I don't have TikTok, and I don't even know how to use TikTok.
Yeah, I don't even know what a TikTok is, man. I see people with these videos, and I don't understand the difference. Why can't I just do that on Instagram? That's just I don't know. But,
no, you can. It's called Instagram Reels.
Yeah, I've never even used that. I know the stories, and I know the regular posts. That's all I got.
I've never used Reels either, but unless I post a clip of this show up there or whatnot. But yes, definitely want to follow Josh on Instagram. He'll post a meme that'll make you laugh here or there. But that'll do it for this episode. We'll be back next week to break all the happenings in mixed martial arts down. For Josh, I'm Jason. Peace out. Have a good week, everyone.